Hey everybody, this is the Roundup for every Green Lantern thing that was either released or announced in the month of June 2021. We started this month with the release of Green Lantern number 3, the latest chapter in Geoffrey Thorne's run, as well as Far Sector number 12, the final issue in the debut series for the character of Sojourner Mullein. I was actually on the Lantern Cast twice in June to talk about both of these issues. I joined Chad and Mark in episode 438 to discuss Green Lantern number 3, and episode 439 for the Far Sector finale. So check those out at lanterncast.com or whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. Speaking of Far Sector, the series was nominated in 3 categories of the 2021 Eisner Awards, which is basically the Oscars of comics. The book in general was nominated for Best Limited Series, Jamal Campbell was nominated for Best Cover Artist, and Duran Bennett was nominated for Best Lettering. If you've been waiting to see what all the fuss is about, good news, they just solicited the trade paperback, which comes out October 19th. This is the entire series, all 12 issues in one volume, and I can't recommend it enough. Now that this book is done, you can expect a lot of Far Sector talk to make its way onto this channel. But in the meantime, Joe's adventures are going to continue in Green Lantern number 6, which was solicited to come out on September 7th, and also promises some Simon and Jessica stuff, as Simon finds out Jess may have joined up with the Sinestro Corps. John Stewart hit a milestone this past month, commemorated with a new volume titled Green Lantern John Stewart, A Celebration of 50 Years, collecting important moments from across the character's entire history. And I don't know how I feel about this collection. I think they made some strange choices, considering they wanted to pick the 8 best examples of what this character and his history have been all about. For example, I don't think Green Lantern number 49 is a very good issue in general, let alone the fact that it's nowhere near the best representation of John dealing with his responsibility and guilt over the destruction of the planet Xanchi. And I think putting the final issue of Green Lantern Mosaic in this collection is really strange. The issue really doesn't stand on its own, removed from the context of the rest of the series, a context you can't get because Green Lantern Mosaic was never collected or reprinted in any form. The only issues of Mosaic currently available are the very first issue collected in the Green Lantern 80th Anniversary hardcover, and the very last issue collected in this one. They're right in that this series absolutely has to be represented in any collection that celebrates the history of John Stewart, but randomly tossing in the final issue is the worst way to do it. And this issue of Justice League isn't really any better. I understand the importance of including an issue of Justice League with John on the team, since an entire generation of fans met him through the Justice League cartoon. But the issue they picked is most famous for being that time Hal Jordan couldn't go do Green Lantern stuff because he slipped in the tub and knocked himself out. The last few issues in this collection feel like they just barely missed the mark. There are several self-contained one-shots throughout the run of Mosaic that would be a better fit than the final issue, and this collection is sorely missing Green Lantern Volume 3 number 147 by Judd Winnick and Dale Eaglesham, which is a deeply personal character study of how John sees himself. It works as a self-contained issue, and it ends with John taking a major step forward as a character. At the end of the day, though, I think the best thing about this collection overall is the fact that it serves as a sample of a lot of different eras in John Stewart's history, and if it can get people interested in going back and reading some older material that they otherwise never would have found, that's what really matters. Zack Snyder has been sharing set photos and concept art of what would have been his version of John Stewart, played by Wayne T. Carr. I will always think it's interesting to learn about what didn't make it into the finished product. Like that book about the Ryan Reynolds movie that included all sorts of concept art for unused scenes. But we should never let our interest in this stuff become an excuse to keep living in the past and miss out on good new stuff. I'm personally ready to stop focusing so much on what might have been, and instead look to the future and focus on what we're actually going to get. Starting with Penarejo being the first actor to bring a Green Lantern to life as part of a live-action television show. She'll be playing Jade when the 2nd season of Stargirl hits the CW in August. There are a lot of unanswered questions about Jade's presence on this show, but we'll just have to wait and see for ourselves when the episodes air. The rest of this year is shaping up to be a pretty big deal for Jade, both on TV and in comics, and I'm really looking forward to it. We've still got a healthy amount of alternate universe Green Lantern content coming out. Crime Syndicate number 4 dives deeper into the character of the Emerald Knight, the John Stewart of Earth 3. His backstory is honestly a little bland. You know, if you've ever seen a cop drama, then the only new element introduced here is the evil magic space ring. But that's appropriate, since what makes this character unique is the fact that he isn't actually that bad a guy. He seems to want to do the right thing, but the ring has a will of its own and subtly pushes John to do bad things, framing them in such a way that John thinks he's acting heroically. It's a really interesting idea that sets the Emerald Knight apart from the rest of the crime syndicate, who are all just straight up bad guys. Also, the Earth 3 Sinestro is a former Emerald Knight who overcame the ring's influence and actually reforged it into a new ring he could control, and now he's on a team of superheroes called the Legion of Justice, which kind of rules. Then we've got Justice League Last Ride number 2, which I can only describe as walking in on the middle of a great movie during the best part. Half the issue is a flashback to the mission that fractured the League, and the other half is them trying to come back together one last time, struggling to put the past behind them, yet clearly capable of doing so much more because they're together. This continues to be a really good, modern Justice League story that isn't burdened by anything else going on in the DC universe. It's telling a really interesting, thoughtful story that explores what can happen long after close friendships are pushed past their breaking point. On the other end of the spectrum, Ruby/Justice League is still plugging along. Please make figures of this version of Jessica and Wonder Woman, that's all I ask. Speaking of figures, Tweeterhead is releasing a 1/6 scale Jon Stewart statue. This thing is huge. It's 17 inches tall, but reaches above 20 inches tall when you swap in his gun accessory. It's available for pre-order now and it's coming out the first quarter of 2022. If you order directly from Tweeterhead's website, you can get a swappable second head modeled after Jon's JLU appearance, though those are in extremely limited quantity and may already be gone. I love this statue. It's just about perfect. The size makes it kinda awkward, but honestly, the only thing I found to be a deal breaker for me personally is the price. It's over $400, which, to be fair, is on the lower end of the ludicrously overpriced Green Lantern statues we've been getting lately. This is a lot better than the $500 Jessica Cruz, the $600 Parallax Sinestro, the $800 Hal, and the Dawnbreaker that, for some reason, is over $1,000. So it's nice to see the price dip lower while still giving us one of the best sculpts in the bunch, but I still absolutely hate the fact that the only Green Lantern statues we're getting these days come with a price tag that the average fan could never justify spending. Although if you really want a Dawnbreaker and you don't have an extra $1,000 lying around, McFarlane Toys is putting out a 2-pack of the Dawnbreaker and Hal Jordan. They go for about $40 and come out in August. They're not my style, but I'm glad the option is out there. And lastly, Alan Scott's story continued through the month of June in DC Pride number 1 and Infinite Frontier number 1. I love that the character is getting so much attention again, and while the decision to have him come out as gay is still controversial, I can tell you as someone who's read all of it that the topic is being handled really well by creators who actually do care about doing it right. And as a result, we're seeing Alan's relationship with his kids deepen as his character is primed to have a level of development we haven't seen in a very long time. So that's the Green Lantern Roundup for June 2021. If you have something to say about any of these topics, or if there's anything you think I missed, let's keep the conversation going in the comment section down below. You can usually find me reacting to these developments in real time on Twitter, and I'll be back doing another one of these videos a month from now, so subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you're notified when that video drops. Until then, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan, we'll talk again soon.